Good evening. This is the June 5th, 2024 meeting of the Portsmouth Energy Advisory Committee. And I'll take the roll. Ben D'Antonio is absent. And Tom Rooney here. And Betsy Blaisdell.
Here.
Tracy Cameron.
Here.
Kevin Charette.
Here.
Peter Somsich.
Here.
I'm John Tabor, and Counselor Cook is at a book talk tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And Herb Lloyd is on Zoom.
Oh, and we have Herb Lloyd on Zoom.
Here.
Yeah. From sunny Florida. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes? Any changes, deletions, additions? If not, I'll welcome a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, well, as the minutes noted, Herb made a great presentation to the council 2 meetings ago, and we got a unanimous vote to engage the National Renewable Energy Lab to look at the feasibility of alternative energy for our sewer plants. For those of you not in the solar working group, we had a good meeting with Peter Rice and Peter Britz before that. And Peter filled us in on one thing, which is that we do have a contractor for the city who helps us with energy efficiency. And so I put that as an item lower down on our agenda to talk about that. And we also, Peter casually mentioned, well, solar might work at the Jones Avenue landfill. And my brain said, hold that thought. And I managed to write it down. So I put that down as an item for discussion for us. We also, thanks to Tom Rooney, got information on CPCNH's new project manager and what he's working on, and we'll cover that. But as we go through those, let's be thinking in terms of the balance of the year. What should we work on that will have the most impact of these things that we're going to talk about? Maybe we'll wrap up with that. So, Herb, did you want to update us? And then Betsy, I think you have some.
Yes, sure. I can give a quick update. So we like John had said, the city city council, I think it was on Monday, May 21st, if I remember correctly, approved, gave the thumbs up to move forward and engage with NREL on a technical assistance basis. And we've submitted an application with NREL. They've got an application and they now want to meet with us to discuss scope and start working on the engagement. And I am now just herding cats, trying to work with everybody to get schedules to align so we can get that first meeting set up with them. Prior to that first meeting with them, I will work with everybody on our side, on the Portsmouth side, to put together a little bit more specific of a scope document for NREL, and also jot down any questions that we have for them prior to the meeting. So, and then give that to NREL before we meet with them, so they're better prepared and we make better use of that first meeting time with them. So maybe the week of the 24th, I think. I've asked NREL for dates, times on the 24th that works for them, because the week prior to that does not work for everyone on our side. So I'll see what they come back with, and as soon as I do, I'll reach out to everybody and we'll get that first meeting set up and get documentation in place and get ourselves prepared to meet with them.
That's great. That's great. Well, it is a policy direction now from the council, so we'll get full support. Herb, if there are no dates available on the week of the 24th, I'm totally comfortable having Betsy replace me. So,
Okay.
Herb, I didn't send you.
I'll give them, I haven't heard anything back from them today, so maybe I'll give them another 24 hours, and then if so, we can look to schedule the week of the 17th.
So I am away the week of the 17th, on vacation.
Okay.
With my family. The following week, I'm around. If you need one of us, I didn't send you my availability because I feel like having more important, but yeah, I can week of the 24th, 17th.
okay, yeah, it sounds like it's a big strikeout for the week of the 17th.
It's the last week of school, so it's like everybody's getting out of town.
Oh, no, this is July.
Oh, this is July. Oh, I'll back in July. Okay.
No, this is June.
Oh, was it June?
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
it's June. Yeah, so we were shooting for that week of the 17th, but I think now we are looking at the week of the 24th.
Okay, yep, let's see what we get.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Thanks, Herb, for scheduling.
Thank you for her, and thanks for all your consistency on this. You've just been following through all the time, so that's great. Betsy?
Yeah, so the other, like we were working on 3 components in the solar working group. One is what can we do from a community level, and then the second was education. Sorry, first was municipal, second was education, and then third was working on a community solar project. On the second piece, the education piece, I presented last meeting some ideas for a series of not webinars, but like educational events we could do to bring about awareness to getting access to renewables within Portsmouth. And I can't remember who in the group gave me the great suggestion to reach out to the sustainability group because they also do community conversations. So I reached out to Jess, chatted with her about it, and she's like, oh, we would love to have these as a part of our series. We can organize them and market them. So I sent her my ideas and she shared some feedback. And so I have an agenda for the first one, which is scheduled. I have to double check, but I think it's July 7th.
That's great.
So I wanted to pass this outline in front of you all to get your thoughts, make sure I've got it right. And then I'll probably iterate a little bit with the sustainability committee as well. And Stephanie, I just emailed it to you in case we wanted to put it up on screen, but now you have it for the notes. The focus of this first one will be on accessing solar or renewables. The feedback I heard when I discussed this idea last time was that we should build in the energy efficiency component first. And so that combined with the sustainability committee's feedback that we want to reference the city's climate action plan, the outline, which you guys will all get a copy of, is that we do some context setting on why accessing renewables is important. So just kind of quick overview about personal carbon budgets and what we need to achieve to be in line with science tells us is necessary. Do a quick overview of the city's climate action plan, like the bullets. And then I would like to do, and I welcome the city's input, just a quick slide on what the city is doing. So we can maybe reference this NREL study if we feel comfortable with that. But then also anything we're doing from a buildings or renewable standpoint within the city too. So I'll probably just reach out to you all and see if there are just some bullets I can put up on screen, point folks to links. So we show that the city is trying to set an example and then get into like, okay, well, here's what you can do. So I was going to do a quick overview on efficiency since everybody was like, don't just go straight to renewables, like think about efficiency first. I think there was a suggestion that I leverage previous sustainability committee content on this, which I've asked for. But I was just going to do like a quick couple of slides on like fastest to slowest payback, rebates, and resources on some efficiency measures. So kind of like the quick and dirty on that. And then go into the focus of the presentation, which is about accessing renewables. So for that, I was going to talk about mainly two things. One is the community power opt-in. And then the other is on-site solar. And for on-site solar, talking about what you need, financing options, how to get quotes. And again, leave that portion of the presentation at just about 20 minutes, just giving people a high-level overview, because what the Sustainability Committee's format is in organizing these is to create breakout tables and conversations. So my hope, and hopefully you all can help me with this, is after I kind of do the overview, I wanted to break into some tables to have homeowners or condo/rental folks who have experience doing solar at their properties host a table where they can discuss three things. What are the benefits? What are the barriers? And then for the folks that have implemented solar, what lessons did they learn and what would they do differently? And then have a conversation about that. And I would have those table owners, those experts, take notes just so we can gather that information, understand what those blocks are or what the hacks are for getting solar on your home. So we can incorporate that into future planning.
So we're kind of rounding up solar pioneers in Portsmouth.
Yeah. So I think, I probably need like 4 to 6 solar
Mhm.
experts, local solar experts. So Peter, maybe I can tap you for a table.
Sure.
I gathered a couple of names at the Sustainability Fair a month or two ago. So I'll send this over to you, email you all, just to see if you have any other thoughts on things we should incorporate. If you don't have any feedback now, also get feedback from the Sustainability Committee. And then I think the plan is to start marketing it since it's about a month away at this point.
Great. And
I had asked my neighbor who's right here on Johnson on South Mill Pond, they just had went through the HDC process to get solar approved for their home.
Oh,
and it
awesome.
was approved. But I reached out to them and just asked that not knowing about the July 7th event, but I just asked them to keep kind of track of kind of the lessons learned, observations, opportunities for improvement through the process. They haven't even begun the installation process,
Huh.
and they're using Provision,
Revision.
but they said they already have thoughts on what they experienced going through the
Mhm.
HDC process, but they were willing to track it through the life cycle, through their installation. Just, I told them we're interested in feedback from, residents in town, and they're an excellent little couple.
That's awesome. If you wouldn't mind like connecting us over email if they're interested,
Yeah.
it'd be great to have them involved in this since they're
Yeah.
fresh going through the process.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
They live their home right at the end of Johnson. That's right on South Mill Pond. They're putting solar on their.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
I
Thank you.
can connect you with Allison Tanner, who used to be on this committee.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if
okay.
You know Allison, but I think her house is,
She has a solar installation.
Yeah.
On
has
Green-
for a long time.
So
Greenleaf, I think it is.
Their arrays or PPAs fairly common.
I don't think PPAs are that common in Portsmouth. And that is something I'm interested in. I would love to have like somebody that's got solar on their condo building or like a landlord that's done it on a rental. I think that would be really interesting because when I was at the Sustainability Fair, I heard from a few folks who were like, oh, my condo association would never
Right,
approve
right.
it. Or, I've been asking my landlord, but he's really not incentivized because I pay the electricity bill myself. So if anybody knows of different like condo versus landlord, that would be great. And then also different ownership models. So I plan on talking about lease, loan, and cash. Because there are different incentives
Yeah.
associated with each. And a lot of what's being peddled now by solar developers at folk stores is the lease option right now.
Mhm.
Yeah,
with the power
Sunrun,
purchase agreement.
Sunrun, for example.
Yes,
Does that.
exactly.
On our street, there was one of my neighbors recently done that.
I get a call.
Sunrun came to them and said, hey, we'd like to put solar in your roof.
And they did it through that model. Could you see if they would be willing to
Are
come
they
to us?
happy?
I don't know. It's only been like 6 months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Tom, you were gonna say something?
Well, I keep getting a call. I don't even know what the company is, but are you interested in solar at no money down? You know,
Yes.
kinda
Yeah,
thing? I
exactly.
get- It's like every 3 days, like they leave a message every
Yeah.
time. I think it might
Yeah.
be a call, but.
Yeah, no, there are a ton of them. One of them came to my door and my husband was sitting in the background. He's like, oh boy, they don't know what's coming to them. And I was like, is this a lease versus ownership model? Like I had him totally
He was
silent
flummoxed.
at the first question. My husband's just laughing in the background, like, oh, this is gonna be fun. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be intimidating or mean. I'm on the Energy Advisory Committee and I'm just trying to understand so I can help educate residents about the options. But he was just like, no, if I get you a meeting, then you meet the person that can answer this questions. So I was like, it would be helpful if you did know these questions because there are a lot of folks doing this right now. And that's the whole idea behind it. But yeah, I think Peter, if you wouldn't mind
Yeah,
connecting
I'll
me with
reach
that
out to
neighbor,
that neighbor, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it would be helpful to understand the pros and cons.
Yep.
It sounds great upfront and
Yep.
then it can get confusing when you
Mhm.
like need to refinance your house. Like there's a lien
Yeah.
on your
Right.
home for
Yep.
a period of time. So there are pros and cons and that's what at a high level I hope to present.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have like 30
Example.
minutes for experts to sit down at the table and
Yep.
talk that through with other folks, that would
Yep.
be excellent.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting too to get a realtor like for houses that are, is it adding value? Is it?
Good idea.
Right.
Cause it must have happened.
It's national data is already available. I mean, California is the best example. There's lots.
Right,
of
but
data.
around here, like, you know.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. New England, yeah.
How do people react?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably depends on the buyer. Certain people would be. Probably see it as a benefit and others might be.
Right.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the roof? That's what I'll get.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the age
Yeah.
of your roof. You know, you don't
Right,
wanna
you don't wanna put it on an old roof.
Yeah, yeah,
but
right.
How good or how comfortable are we in the sustainability committee in marketing something like that? And I say this because I just went to a button-up workshop in Hampton Falls, which was excellent, but it was preaching to the choir, it was
Right.
really the people who
Mhm.
would take advantage of the services.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I'd
it's a good
love to
call.
get like a really good,
Right, not
cohort
the
there.
normal crowd. So it's gonna be at the library in Levinson Room. And I believe it goes out with the library marketing materials
Oh,
too, but I should
that's
double
good.
check. So it's a good call.
Yeah, and
do you have marketing materials already, or do they need to be developed?
No, but the sustainability committee said they would develop them. Yeah, could we get it in the community newsletter, do you
Yeah, I'm
think?
sure we could support
Yeah,
it.
we-
Okay,
so we need all the information. We need to put our Portsmouth Community Power logo on this if
Mm.
we're gonna jointly do it.
cool.
I'm a little concerned about how soon it is and right after 4th of July weekend, but having the sustainability committee promote it to their usual suspects will be, not starting.
Do you leverage New Hampshire Saves at all, Betsy, or is that something you're comfortable talking about?
I was gonna talk about New Hampshire Saves in the efficiency portion of the presentation. Are you talking about using them for marketing purposes?
Yeah, or a resource from New Hampshire Saves.
Oh, yeah,
perhaps
I've never-
Pending the meeting, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, no, I wasn't thinking about reaching out, just doing like a quick overview on it, but if anybody has connections there, I'm
Did
happy
we
to
have a
reach
New
out.
Hampshire Saves
I thought never.
thing over at the library during, we were preparing to launch community power?
I think we did.
yeah, mine.
We also
Okay,
co-hosted a button-up.
awesome.
Yes, we did co-host it, but
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. If you don't,
Oh.
they're usually pretty open to coming around and.
flipping back to your energy conservation, I love the bullet points of what's the fastest payback for a residential homeowner.
Yeah.
Or
I was just thinking about like, what are quick visuals to be like, if you were gonna do anything, do these things right away. And then I noticed on the community newsletter this past week, there was something on heat pumps too.
On
So-
what?
Heat
Heat pumps?
pumps.
Heat pumps, yeah.
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 Yeah, I was like, yes. I didn't read all the supporting information for it, but I was very happy to see that in the newsletter. So at least get a feature and then point to some rebates and resources that are more, not read more about it, but like, here's what you can do about it. More action oriented.
I'm also thinking of Byron Maddow has solar panels and an EV. And he's saving, I think he's calculated his savings annually just with his vehicle. And then he's got his home savings.
Yeah.
So he's a very quantitative, logical
Oh, that's
person.
awesome.
So I could
It's
put you,
Byron.
Matto,
I know.
Matto. He's on the school board.
What
cool.
day were you looking at?
It's actually July 11th. I just
The
double
11th,
checked
okay.
that. I was thinking it was the 7th, but it's July 11th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Community conversation, and I'll forward this to you all.
You know, to follow up on John's comment about Byron's calculations, I gotta say, I've been doing this for a long time already too. One of the problems to get with most people when you first do this, let's say put a solar roof on is how do you calculate your actual energy use? Because your utility is not going to tell you. The utility only tells you how much energy you got from them. And how much, but how much you got from yourself.
You get that
And
through net
what's-
metering, don't you? Or no? Oh, if you use it as it comes out, you don't,
That's right.
right?
That's right. You don't get it. The net metering part, they'll will give you credit for what you gave them.
Right.
But all you'll get on your bill, you'll get a credit for, okay, you gave us so much, you bought so much from us. And then they use that total to say, how much is that compared to last year? It doesn't say anything about the energy you generate yourself on your roof.
But you get that you have like an app that's.
Yeah,
monitored,
but what
right?
I'm saying, you need to aggregate this together for yourself if you're
Yeah.
interested in knowing how much energy you're using, or if you're using less energy. And then add to that, I have a plug-in hybrid. Now I've got to plug into that. How much am I using for my car every month? Okay. So I'm
This
just,
is, this is what I get. You can always see like the dots or what all the different energy sources are. And then when you have solar, it's like this big gigantic, but it tracks it and you.
yeah,
can
I'm
keep-
not saying there are not programs out there to do
Yeah.
this. I'm just saying a lot of people, when you get into that, you got to figure out what are you going to do if you're really interested in keeping exact records of how much energy you're using. Are you using less energy, for example, than a year ago? Are you producing more energy than a year ago yourself? How much are you using for your car? You're displacing gasoline in exchange for electric energy. And then, if you go even further, you can look at how much heating oil you're using, for example, to
Right.
get a picture of the entire energy usage of your house. Okay. Because all those things and your utility doesn't help you too much with their bill. That doesn't help much. I mean, it's a starting point, but you got to add stuff to it and subtract things from it.
Right.
And yes, apps can do that. I just started doing this like 9 years ago. And I just set up an Excel spreadsheet that I put the numbers in every month to keep track of it myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's an issue that if you're really interested in keeping records that make a sense, because if you leave out certain things, you're not figuring out everything. And especially if you're looking at like greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you everybody for the great suggestions. If you think of any more, don't hesitate to send them to me. And like I said, I'll make sure you all have the outline that I shared. So you can offer more feedback. But I will, as soon as I have the brochure, I will share it with you all. So hopefully you can help me disseminate it to your
Yes.
folks.
Yep. And
All my coffee shops.
Yay, good. Yes.
then Jilly, you and Stephanie can make sure it gets in the newsletter. I'm sure that Monty could put something on the Facebook pages. Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you for all the work on that. Any
Oh,
other
it's easy.
questions or comments for Betsy on that? Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
To get my act together. Make my PowerPoint presentation now.
Wow,
Yeah,
you're fast at that.
I'm a consultant. I should be.
Seacoast Green Energy Challenge. Karen and Jessica in the city manager's office put together a Zoom call. And we had Durham and Newmarket and Rye and Portsmouth. And we agreed to have a couple of criteria, not just one. The percentage of people who opt up is, there's a trophy for that. And then we'll run the event from the new rates in August through December. And the town that improves the most will also get recognition. And we're gonna meet again on 28th of June, I think, Julian. And we'll refine that a little bit. But we're aiming at timing our promotional blitz around this for the new rates, which I think are end of July.
Mhm. What were the towns again, John? Durham, Newmarket,
Durham, Newmarket, Rye,
Rye, okay,
Portsmouth,
okay.
and Dover. I forgot
Oh, and
Dover.
Dover?
Yep. And we're gonna reach out to, we'll reach out, and also Bobby Joe from the coalition will reach out to Stratham, Greenland, and Exeter. We did touch base with Stratham and Exeter. It sort of didn't get to their energy committee, so we'll push on that again. And so it's going to happen. The idea we've kicked around of recognizing people who opt up with the yard sign, they all love that, and the visibility of 80 or 90 yard signs in a city our size, as dense as we are, is
Yeah.
pretty impressive. If you get a couple in every neighborhood, it really is good promotion. So they all like that idea.
Is CPCNH thinking about doing something like that for everybody? Is that gap in marketing materials, or are we doing that?
This has been
At
a,
our edge.
the
Keep it a big secret in the other towns, so we win.
well, the initiative came from Newmarket and from Durham. They were keen on this. So, but we'll loop in the coalition and see if they'd like to expand it, because we're gonna get some help. And of course, we want to win.
So it's based on
love
the
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 one-sided.
percentages, the percentage that are on
Mhm.
that opt up, or the percentage growth. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So there's absolute, percentage that opted up, and then there's growth over time.
Do we have any like random prizes we could offer residents who opt up? Like,
Steve Holmgren from Newmarket wants to give out Kermit the Frog green frogs.
I'm like thinking about the city gave out trees at
Oh, yes.
the sustainability fair.
Carbon sequesters,
Oh, like certificate.
otherwise known as trees.
Right, exactly. And I'm just, maybe it would be fun to offer random prizes. I don't know if we could find local businesses that would be willing to.
Well, UNH's extension service, I bet you, would offer something like that.
Yeah,
If we
Yep.
did it with trees or plants or something like that.
on that, it would be fun to.
I mean, and then it falls right into the category of greening the city, the more trees, the better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you could put the people that opt up into a raffle.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
If you had 10 of them, whatever
Yeah,
the price
yeah,
may be,
Yeah.
Yeah,
whoever opts in gets put into a raffle or something.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, my daughter, Laura Tabor, Girl Energy Consultant, is keen on little monitors that you can put on to monitor your load of your refrigerator or your,
Oh, yeah, right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like a
Different
plug, you
appliances.
plug into the.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
that we can give
Library
those
has
away.
those. They still do.
Do they? Do you just borrow them and bring them back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I like the idea of the
Any
opt-ups go in a
maintenance, any
raffle.
Thoughts on prizes, that would be, yeah.
Mhm.
Doing the
I'm
raffle.
trying to think of who would, like a business that wants to be green, right? If they were the
Mhm.
ones that sponsored the prize,
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
like Batteries Plus with a solar battery.
right, right. right.
oh, yeah,
Yep,
love that place.
yeah. They
I
could
feel
be
like I go there all the time now.
I think another.
But like Revision, and I'm sure like all of these
Right.
folks have,
Or even New Hampshire Saves would potentially.
yeah, yeah.
We could give them refrigerator magnets. I'm reducing my carbon with Portsmouth Community Power magnets.
Bumper stickers.
Yeah. But the lawn sign is a good. peer
Yeah,
It's
pressure.
very high
I love
it's
that.
very high visibility.
Yeah, totally.
Any of us who've ever run
Mhm.
council
So
know that
Peter and I need the net metering issue to be resolved.
Oh, yeah.
Our lawn
We're
sign,
solar hostages.
we are.
We can't do anything. We can't
Yeah.
opt out. We can't opt down. We can't do anything. We're
We can
just.
get the opt-up sign, but say, we wish. we
Yeah,
could."
we wish we could opt.
Just right over it.
Yeah, we want one of those signs.
Good luck.
well,
So a year, right?
Yeah, it's, I think that's,
Jeez.
very frustrating. But Tom, you heard the latest on it, I guess, at the board meeting.
I don't think there was really any, it's still, I mean, there's no, I don't think there's a, a date or. Yeah,
I think
Hey, Betsy, you and I should launch our own lawsuit.
Should lawyer up.
Lawsuit, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We
that's,
Should
we
get
should do that.
Ben.
Yeah, we're being,
lawyer.
It's been
we're being
filed a
discriminated
case.
against because we're for solar, right?
Yeah,
So why is everybody else being treated better than we are? I think we have a special class
there you go.
action.
I'm happy to explore what our options are to.
I know a lawyer who might be interested.
Okay, great.
I think Canterbury has a suit about it.
oh, really?
Yeah. They have a very active energy committee and they were in the first wave and this really stuck in their craw.
Yeah.
So I think that they,
It's not legal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Peter. Can you
Okay,
do that one?
I'll check with my,
I'm gonna
my
get my
crack
little
lawyer
webinar
there.
going here. And then I'll join the bandwagon.
okay.
I don't know if they filed a lawsuit, but I think they filed a complaint
a PUC
with
complaint.
the.
Yes, the PUC, yes, yes.
With the CPCNH's support, they,
Right.
Mhm.
rather than CPCNH do it, they wanted a community to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Well, sometimes some of these things, it's not like you can win it, but you can get attention.
part of the issue is, there's this specific issue around net metering, but as they've opened up these dockets, they're throwing more and more.
More stuff
what
into it,
needs
yeah,
To get
yeah.
investigated, because there's all sorts of things to improve. So the size of the scope of the docket
It's become
has
wider and
has
wider.
become larger, yeah.
Yeah, well,
The net
Yeah.
metering is not being addressed kind of just as a finite topic.
Right.
In the dockets.
maybe they should. Or maybe, you can't bite off too much at once. Takes forever to get done.
And it's not just Eversource, it's.
It's all three.
No, it's all
it's
the
all three
utilities, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
Unitil and.
And now that we're live between Clifton and the director, Dina, and others, I mean, they're working this as hard as they possibly
I
can.
believe it.
Yeah.
Like, but,
Right, well,
Hey,
Well,
I
I think New
happen to have
Hampshire-
legal insurance actually.
dockets in
too.
Connecticut.
Oh,
has-
great. We're good. We're good.
Yeah,
Kevin, you were saying.
No, it's interesting, from my experience in Connecticut, Massachusetts, PUC dockets have a schedule. They get a schedule, it gets
Yeah.
set
Yeah, yeah.
right from the
yes.
get-go. You have written comments by this state, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah, blah, all out
Yep.
to a final decision. New Hampshire, the dockets just kind of open,
Yes, I
And-
know.
stay open.
Yep.
And, when's the date they're gonna get, you're gonna
Yep.
get a decision? Well, you'll get a decision when you get a decision.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
That's what they do.
But in Connecticut, there's a very specific schedule that the
Right.
dockets have to run on. You know when the decision's coming out.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like 3 months in advance.
And that's a
Hampshire
disadvantage
doesn't
for
operate that
everybody,
way.
for the utilities, for customers, for everybody.
Yeah.
There's no end game there, you know, that they're obligated legally to abide by.
We'll update you next meeting.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, well, Kevin's right. I know that Clifton and is putting together as much legislative energy behind this as he can get.
It wouldn't hurt to have an agenda topic, Tom, maybe occasionally to have a Clifton or
Address it. at
somebody
one of the
get
meetings.
in, take a half hour on these
Yeah,
calls
yeah.
to give us an update on regulatory matters.
On our meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Cause I just,
So is it your impression that the PUC is waiting for guidance from the legislature, or who are they waiting for? I mean, are the utilities, all utilities saying we can't do that? We need 5 years? Or what? I don't know.
where it stands out.
They're all
Did I
saying,
tell you, I asked the person selling solar at Lowe's what he's
yeah,
hearing
yeah,
are the
yeah, yeah.
barriers, and he said the first thing he listed was that people who are net metered can't join community power. I
Really?
was shocked.
wow.
It was like not even something I thought would even be mentioned. It was
Yeah,
the thing
yeah,
he
wow.
mentioned.
Wow.
I'm like, so this is really on more people's radar than those of us.
Good
that-
market research.
So
Voice
It's
maybe,
just so random
Voice
that
of the
he,
customer.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing to point out, that this is a hindrance to people doing community power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the hindrance that we face. Everything else is good.
And you know, I could have stayed on my third party supplier at a much lower rate, because I had like a 2-year contract. I got out of it so I could sign up with community power until I discovered I can't. So
Damages.
damages, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
We're gonna walk away with a $5 check
Yeah.
and a lot of
A gift
satisfaction.
certificate for a lot of
Yeah.
New Hampshire saved swag.
It takes a long time for utilities to adjust. Kevin's heard me say this, and it's no offense, Kevin,
Right,
I
right,
know,
yeah, it's true.
but they're like brontosauruses, and and you whack them on the tail.
Hmm.
And a year later, the little walnut-sized brain says, "Oh, something's happening." And they're just big, and they're
They're frying the fish they want to fry.
yeah,
That's
That's right.
that's more it.
But it's
they're
unique,
driven by quarterly earnings.
it's unique to New Hampshire. Because as Kevin
is.
was saying, these other states around us are move much quicker. The utilities are more engaged, they have more programs going on. It's New Hampshire itself that is kind of restricting a lot of things that could happen in various ways legislatively and the PUC. And it's not unique to utilities, it's unique to New Hampshire. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Unfortunately.
interesting. Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions on Seacoast Green Energy Challenge?
Oh, sounds good.
We'll keep refining it. And we'll think about prizes. And what our hardy pioneers who are opt-ups should be in a raffle to get.
Eversource is listening to us. I just got my Eversource electricity bill. We're speaking about them. They're sent to us.
Right.
Are we being?
They put a chip in me when I retired.
I think we should have one of those scanners. Next.
We also put in the packet. Thought we did some material on the discretionary funds.
Yep.
And there was a Zoom call Friday. And essentially what CPCNH is doing is they want to create a 5th rate, which is your local rate. In addition to the 4 we have
Your
already.
local rate?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
This would be a rate in which the local community could add a half a cent
Oh.
or a cent
Oh, okay.
for whatever purpose they wanted. And it was a fascinating discussion because everybody said, well, how do we do this transparently so that our
Mhm.
whole community has a voice in how it happens. And is this a fee or is this a tax? So there's the legal implications. And who has the authority? Like towns that are town meeting towns would have to have a warrant article probably
Yeah.
to get approval. Which led to a discussion of, well, what if your energy committee was an energy commission that had rate setting power? So it was an interesting discussion. Some of the Peterborough would like to use the funds from their own local rate to invest in solar arrays on their schools. Enfield is keen to do low-income weatherization. And they wanted to set up a fund to do that. So it's very early days. But it's now a tool that we have that we didn't used to have. One important note on it is that it doesn't, you don't set it and forget it. You have to each rate
Every
period
time, yeah.
say, we want to renew our local rate. Or you could change your local rate. You could have it be a penny more instead of half a penny. So it's very flexible, but you do have to,
That's the case now, even with the default basic rate. Each community needs to
right,
every 6 months say, we want to stay on, the basic
right.
or go on to a different rate. So the
Right.
communities still have to communicate their wishes on a 6-month basis.
Right.
What does that process look like? I mean, how does that happen every 6 months?
The board members and the member representatives are informed. The timing of the communication that needs to take place. And just has to vouch whether or not we're going to stay on the rate we're on, or if we want to change rates. And there's a little kind of form process that has to get submitted to CPC&H to change, to do that.
Okay.
And that's usually a time that we revisit the question of, do we want to stay with Granite Plus as our, or Granite Basic as our default?
As default, yeah.
No.
The challenge there, though, is if you change the default, you're liable to get people saying, what?
Right,
Like, I wasn't paying attention, and now you've moved it up, and I'm not paying attention.
right.
So, yeah, that is the time.
Hanover right out of the gate said, we're gonna make Granite Plus, which has 33% renewable content. We're gonna make that our default. Tons and tons of carbon saved. But that's a community that has aggressive carbon reduction goals. They want to be carbon neutral by 35, I think. And they're pretty far down the road to do that. So they had the public confidence in doing it.
Like what, is it Stratum is doing? No, it's Peterborough where they want to use the fund to do solar on schools. I think there's probably a difference between opting up to a package that is accessing renewable energy from multiple communities versus saying, we're going to do a fraction of a cent on the rate, and that fund could add up to X amount, which we would use for this specific purpose within our town. I feel like that's a better argument than opting up, where yes, you're driving the overall renewables market within the state or within the grid.
Right.
But it's just different when you're like, oh, Little Harbor or Sondero is going to get solar on the roof as a result of all of us just chipping in a little bit more.
And
And
that's
that
easy to
ultimately
sell.
saves the city money
Right.
off of our electricity bill.
Yeah.
I feel like we could get away with it more in that sense than the.
And if everyone has to vote on it, you have the added benefit of, okay, that's gonna be in the newspaper. People are gonna understand the process and what they can save. So you may have other people that
Mhm.
are convinced to go solar.
Yeah.
You have to kind of look at the numbers though, in terms of because the scenario that was in what you sent around for the megawatts over a 6-month period, I think the total value of that was like $56,000 or something like
It
that.
takes a long time. for
And
to-
it was about half the size of Portsmouth, so over a 6-month period, using those numbers that were in your package. You know, over a 6-month period, we'd say like you'd have about $100,000 go into the fund.
At half.
So you just have to set expectations in terms of,
Mhm.
It's not a multi-million dollar solar array that gets funded in
Right.
3-month period.
right,
Yeah,
this would
yeah.
be over
Multi-year.
a period of time, you're stashing away some money for that,
Mhm.
but it's not
Right.
it didn't seem like, looking at the numbers I was looking at, it was a quick,
Right.
Could you,
But-
we couldn't though, because it's going into like a city fund. I was like, could you take that money, put it in a fund and then grow it in another way instead of just leaving it in the bank account? But that's probably not acceptable with the city. Like the city can't invest. its
Yeah,
money.
the city has an investment policy. We just renewed it Monday. But we're limited to money market and treasury bills and really safe stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
it's a sticky. I mean, there's certainly, you can see the benefits of doing it, but it's kind of a sticky issue to make that decision for all of
For
the
your-
residents in the city, that
Yeah.
we're going to increase your bill over what it could be to do X when they might not agree with X.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think offering it as an option is a good way to go, right?
Well, there's the option offering the opt up to greener, but if the option to fund an investment, then how does that work? It's just you're gonna have some residents funding.
Well, what wasn't, John, didn't you mention there's the local rate too?
That's
Which
what we're
could
talking
be a
about.
choice, a fifth choice, to say, okay, you
As an
can
opt-out.
opt up to the local one, which is just different from our default rate or whatever it is, by 1 cent, let's say, and that cent gets locally invested. And again, it's a choice that people can make, and one's forced into it.
Right, but I mean, if you, again, run the numbers, if the entire city is participating in it, and the numbers are relatively small, if you only have 5 or 10% of the population doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're gonna be 6 feet under before that.
Right.
That ever
Betsy's,
amounts to anything.
Betsy's kids would.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but again, that could be a fund that is set aside for that purpose, that people could donate into
Yeah,
from
and
other
feel good
sources.
about it, yeah.
without the city being involved.
Like with any fundraising effort, you want to know what the money is going towards. And I think you'd have to have like a specific
Yeah.
project
Goal
that
project.
people could get behind if
Yep.
you wanted to get more traction to
Mhm.
take that option. But I don't know, maybe we do this NREL study and see more, at least from a municipal standpoint, what's possible. And then maybe a project idea comes out of that where we're like, okay, this could have a big impact on our community, and we could create a mechanism by which folks could invest in, opt up into it.
Yeah. We've got various pieces, rooftop solar. We've seen some towns that bundle together a whole bunch of municipal rooftop solar as one project,
Okay.
which makes a lot of sense to me. And then, we have.
John, are you talking about municipalities that bundle together buildings that municipality owns or
Right,
residents?
like
own?
schools,
Oh,
like
schools, yeah, okay.
So we'd say
Yeah,
Dondero, Little Harbor, and New
yeah,
Franklin.
okay.
Walmart is doing it. Oh, yeah, my niece's husband is going out finding school projects that they can do their offsets.
Hmm.
on Local schools.
Oh, that's awesome. Come over, Walmart, meet some schools with great roofs for.
Yeah,
I think, I mean, the ability to move forward with larger projects through what Urban, you guys are talking about financing those, I think those are bigger paybacks and larger projects than stashing away
Mhm.
some pennies.
Yes, and we may be,
Because I think they also said that that rate would not be at a higher renewable rate. It would be the same as the basic, the state minimum for renewable content.
Yeah.
Right. So we from a community power standpoint, might have,
working against our own interests.
we might be more interested in what you were talking about in terms of the seacoast, trying to increase the volume of our residents that are in the higher renewable content rates. Or at least letting see this thing
Yeah,
play out for
It's
a
there, as an
term
option. We
and
can,
maybe consider it,
yeah.
for the February 1st rate, see how it goes with some of these other communities.
Cause like you're saying.
Because you need to do some
realistically-
good education around it.
Yeah.
Or we could lose some,
Lose some
goodwill.
community goodwill, yeah. And we may be making it too hard because if the city invests in a solar array and the power is purchased or we get the net metering benefit, it pays for itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that new local rate option premieres August 1st.
Mhm.
And, we can watch what happens with it. We'll see how these other towns.
I think Peters Rice is interested too in longer term rates through CPCNH.
Right.
As the city contracts expire.
Yeah, he's gonna be a little hamstrung by the 6-month
Right.
changes.
But I think CPCNH wants to offer
Oh, like a longer term.
longer term and special
Oh.
contracts for larger commercial industrial customers. They want to play in that space.
Mhm.
And they also want to attract more of the municipal load from the communities that are interested in, don't want 6-month rates. They need at least a year from a fiscal budgeting perspective. And I think CPCNH is looking how to do that so they could submit bids when this city municipal accounts go out to bid.
Yes, that'd be great because we're gonna go out to bid in the fall, I think, as a city. So if CPCNH is ready.
Yeah,
that would
I
be
think
great.
Peter's talking to the folks at
Oh,
CPCNH
good.
about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's taking the initiative. I mentioned. I mentioned the conversation with Peter Rice and he briefed us on the energy conservation work that's already underway. And he and I were walking out of City Hall after a council meeting and I said, we should talk about that further at our energy committee. What is our program to make our buildings more efficient? How does it scale up? Have we got quantitative goals for it? And he said, I'd love to do that. I'd really like to.
Who was that?
Peter Rice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he told us at the meeting about the NREL study that we are under contract with somebody who, a
Right.
company that's,
Performance contractor.
yeah, but it wasn't a performance contract. It was a company that does do this work, but it wasn't under a performance contract
Right.
mechanism.
So I thought that we should make that a future meeting item.
Yeah. Definitely.
Asked him if he could do it for this meeting. He said, oh, I want to be really well prepared. Okay.
Well, I just want to put in a word, if it's not already being considered, for looking at the Spinnaker Point facility, even though we
Right.
don't own it.
Yep.
And we
Yes,
lease it.
no, you've been
Yeah,
vocal about
so-
that.
And there are lots of things there that I see all the time.
Well, we'll
that
have that
need
discussion
improvement.
with Peter.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
maybe he'll bring his
Yeah.
contractor.
Yeah, okay.
But I thought we don't have a July meeting scheduled. We could do that in July if you guys wanted to meet in July. We didn't have neither July or August scheduled at this point. We were gonna take the summer off. So it's up to
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I personally, this is Herb, I personally feel we've got enough going on that I would be happy to join, to get together in July and August. I know it's hard with folks taking time off.
Yeah, for a July meeting, I think it would be great to hear
Yeah.
what Peter has to share. Yeah, we do have a lot going on to talk about between
Mhm.
educational stuff, CPCNH stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, and the NREL study to
Mhm.
regroup on. Yeah, that's great.
You guys are persevering. I like it. Okay, I'll talk to him. We'll make that an agenda item.
Your agenda item for July would be the rate change in August.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
true, yeah.
Is he responsible for the school buildings as well, or is that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He is, okay.
Mhm.
The other thing Peter mentioned in our meeting that I found super interesting was that like all of the solid waste from the wastewater treatment plant, methane digestion. And so it came up because we were talking about doing the NREL study at the wastewater treatment plant. Could we do renewables on Pierce Island or at the Pease
Mhm.
space, which we don't own? So we don't, that's not our real estate. We lease it.
You mean
Um,
Peace Trade Port, you mean?
Yeah, the wastewater treatment
Yeah,
facility
yeah.
there. So in talking through like, sure, do the study, but this is gonna be challenging. He was like, but we do have all of this waste and this waste is gonna get astronomically expensive. Like we have this great contract now, but as soon as that goes away, we're gonna be in a world of hurt. And he talked about methane digestion.
Anaerobic digesters.
And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I'm just wondering, let's not load up his plate too much, but there's probably something to explore there. That seems like a real problem.
Well, some background on that. Herb, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna just to fill everybody in on for a number of years that was added into the CIP. Counselor Denton had made sure that that was added in anaerobic digestion into that, and so when the council on May 21st approved to move forward with NREL, that was something that Councillor Denton wanted to make sure that we had included that in the scope. And so we definitely will be discussing that with NREL, because NREL is taking they're taking a leading role nationally in anaerobic digestion and some of those technologies for biotype gas. And so that'll definitely be included in the conversation with NREL.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That'd be great. I remember having a lot of discussions about this. Josh Denton wanted us to do it. The city did a study and the payback wasn't quite there. But as you point out, the economic landscape is changing and the payback may be there now.
Yeah.
Um,
So he was listening what other towns were paying versus what we were paying, and it's significantly
right.
different, and they're not getting the benefit of a long-term contract. So it's a volatile market for those towns. I guess Dover's, especially what Dover was paying, and it was
Yeah.
insane compared to what we were paying. So yeah, I'd be curious. That's great, Herb, that Josh pushed for that and it'll be included.
And 70% of the sludge is water
Yeah,
and we pay by weight.
yeah,
So if we could have a process that creates energy out of the stuff and reduces the amount we have to ship out.
Yep.
It's a win all the way around.
Yeah.
And the numbers may work now. I think I had talked with Peter about it back in 2020 or 21. He said, well, it's not going to pay for itself. Maybe a dryer would. There's these, and there was the concept of maybe a regional dryer that everybody would bring their sludge and take the water out. But if we could do the anaerobic, it has multiple benefits.
Yeah.
Multiple benefits.
And also, John, to piggyback on that, the federal funding landscape has changed since then.
Absolutely. And we're not gonna see that again, maybe,
Nope,
so.
I got a couple of years
Right.
to take advantage of it.
Speaking of taking advantage of solar arrays, federal government is doing 30% down. And we did talk about, with Peter, about Jones Avenue. And there's a lot of factors there, but you know, this is an old capped landfill with a fence around it. It's not recreational land. And it could be a significant amount of solar panels. How much? I don't know. That's fairly easy to figure out with a Google map, and you know, there's lots of questions. Is there an interconnect nearby? There's a whole New Hampshire Environmental Services white paper on solar array projects on closed solid waste landfill. And there's lots to consider. What's the weight capacity of the cap? What are the loading effects on any below ground piping? Is there settlement tolerance of the cap, et cetera, et cetera? So it's tricky. But I think, you know, I was excited that Peter mentioned the possibility. So let's view it as an opportunity, I think. And get some staff research on it. Maybe NREL down the road could help us with it. And I gave in the packet the Exeter project. It was the front sheet and the back sheet. But if you read the description of it, they have a lot of landfill area near their sewer plant. So it's pretty large. I think it's 1.3 megawatts. It's cash flow positive from day one. The town floated a bond, so they own it. And Katrin Casper from Clean Energy New Hampshire says that's the way to go. If you as your municipality can own it with a power purchase agreement, cash flow positive, then you get the carbon benefit and you offset your municipal load and get the savings. And when the bond is done, let's say we did a 10-year bond, all that money is revenue to the city or savings on electricity, whichever way we do it.
My challenge with that, though, is that we don't have a behind the meter opportunity at that location. I
Right.
think we were saying, right, Herb, remind me if I'm getting this wrong, we were like, we love the idea of doing that, this net metering issue get resolved. Because if we do that now, we don't have a way to benefit directly as a municipality from the power that generates.
Is the high school not close? The high school's right there.
The high school is
Yeah.
free. And that's the other thing, like such a simplified view, like, why can't you just put the wires there? Like, why can't you run some line? Why is it so hard? But
If it was all city property and you weren't crossing any rights of way, then it's a lot simpler, right? Kevin?
yeah, I guess we'd have to look at the map to understand what property lines that cross, because there's that new development that's gonna go in right there where the old radio station was. That's gonna be a massive condo development.
Apartments, yeah.
Yeah, that about.
And yeah, to piggyback on what you're saying, we did discuss that with running power lines over to the high school. That did come up with Peter Rice and with Brian Getz. And I think, there were some logistic concerns about doing that. Of course, it could definitely be possible. The solar array at the high school right now, only supplies a smaller percentage of their power consumption. But I think I love this topic, and I think this is great that we're having this topic now or come up and start working on this, because I think there's a long runway for a project like this. But first and foremost, I think we need to answer the question of exactly what you're all are talking about. What are we going to do with the power? So if we generate all that power, what will we do with it? And is there, I have a question of, is there any opportunity to partner with clean energy, with Community Power New Hampshire, and maybe be produce power and from that capacity? How does it benefit the city of Portsmouth? So, I think we could go down, John and others, a parallel path with doing research on a number of these different aspects of, what are the concerns about putting it on top of a landfill? Is there federal funding, state funding? Is the infrastructure in place to even support to move that power that's generated there, or what are we going to do with the power? So those are just a few thoughts on the top of my head.
The other one he mentioned was the expansion of the DPW facility. It's got to be solar ready for city council pushing for that. And that one seems like a no-brainer to do, like just understanding what the options are and getting that put on the roof there.
Right.
That seemed like an immediate feasible opportunity.
Right. Right.
Incidentally, the community power project in Jeffrey that Revision Energy is doing is on top of their landfill right now.
Right.
And as far as I know, that's the only one that they're doing at this point.
Right.
So,
Yeah, there are communities that are figuring it out.
Yeah.
So we should figure it out too.
Katrin gave me, and I'll share it with everybody, an email with about 12 links to New Hampshire landfill solar projects.
Wow, awesome.
Here's one in Dunbarton that's it's pretty big. It's this is in Manchester, and it's it's up near a megawatt, I think. So other communities are doing this. I think the Exeter one looks like a home run to me. So this is one we can work on through the fall, but we know that we have questions around, can we do this on a capped landfill, and how do we do it? What are the interconnect opportunities or the net metering opportunities? To your question, Herb, what do we do with the power? Do we own it? Do we lease it? Do we just pay a developer to build it? Do we partner with the developer? Those are all the questions that crop up. But at least Katrin is saying, as she looks over the landscape of these in New Hampshire, the maximum benefit seems to come if the city finances it itself. And Clifton Below has always said you could do that with revenue bonds, which don't necessarily go up against the city's debt limit. And longer term, after the bond's paid off, you get power purchase agreement benefits. So it's intriguing. I mean, that's our kind of list of questions, and we'll set up a meeting in the fall to
This is a good opportunity, I think, to stay in touch with the new director.
Yep.
Projects director that they just brought in at CPCNH.
right. So let's bring him in early on. At least tell them what we're thinking about.
I'm sure there's a lot of communities that are, starting to they're getting itchy to do these types of things.
Well, you know, when the government's gonna pay the first 30%.
Yeah.
It becomes a race for the money.
Yeah, instantly another good reason to own it, a solar array, for example, is that the solar array, the solar technology is also improving all the time. If you don't own that panel and the owner of the panel says after 5 years, we have panels that are 30–40% more efficient, just gonna swap them out. And we're gonna generate 30–40% more power from the same footprint. Well, the benefit goes to that developer who owns it. Whereas if we had our own and decided after 10 years or whatever years that the newest ones are like 25 to 30% more efficient, there might be a good reason to swap them out as we go along.
Right.
Because they have improved. I think I got mine in 2015. And compared to those right now, the newest ones are like, I think 30%
Yeah,
instead of 17.
yeah, it's true.
It's pretty dramatic.
They're 25, same for mine,
Yeah.
25% more power
Yeah.
out of the same
Yeah.
footprint.
So, you know, you got the same roof, but now you're getting 25% more power
Yeah.
Right.
or landfill, whatever it is.
You know, on the other hand, getting public support for, you know, potentially millions of dollars of investment in the city owning something. Well, if you had a developer who would just say, this, because we'll do it for no cost to the city, it's turnkey. No, you know,
Yeah,
we take all
yeah,
the risk.
yeah.
That's easier politically,
Mhm.
but is it better long-term, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are some of the dimensions of it all. And Peter Britz has always said, don't forget about rooftop solar. So I think that's a couple of meetings worth in the fall.
If I could pass this July webinar, I'd be happy to work on the landfill bit of research piece since Herb, you're full on other municipal buildings right now.
Great. Great. And can we get some staff help, Jillian? And I was, you know, all of this was, my endorphins were firing because Peter Rice was saying, you know, we could maybe put a solar array on Jones Avenue. And so that was, I took that as a possibility.
Yeah.
It's not a probability, but a possibility. Questions, thoughts, comments on that?
I do think it's really good that he comes and speaks about what's been done already, because when we brought him the NREL stuff, he's like, we've actually looked into a bunch of stuff, which is nobody really, like, none of us knew about it. We're like, okay, great, what do you got? And we got a lot from him. So I think everybody kind of level setting on that and prioritizing what we work on based on what's been explored will be great.
Yeah, and he was very clear that given our latitude, you know, solar or even wind are not as big a way to move the needle as just making our buildings more efficient. You know, he said the dark green versus the light green, you know, the dark green, he thinks are the efficiencies of the buildings. So, you know, while we're doing feasibility analysis, let's look at the dark green portions in July and understand it.
They had a launch today of this Earth Shot or Energy Shot all around energy efficiency for buildings. And I think they said there's 9 billion coming to states for that. So I think there will be a lot of opportunities. Probably the next 6 to 9 months we'll learn about them, but I don't think the details are even firmed up yet.
And I think it builds goodwill with the citizens if they see the city taking proactive steps to make our facilities as efficient.
Absolutely.
as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we voted to replace all the street lamps with LEDs way back because it just was a no-brainer. so much more efficient.
But you know, I think it's important to be able to quantify that.
Right.
So, you know, it's one thing to say to people, we're gonna do this. But then people are curious, so how much did you save? How much of a difference did it make? And so sometimes that gets forgotten.
Right.
Because basically people agree it's a good idea. But, you know, unless you start quantifying something, it's hard to make the financial case for the next step.
Mhm.
Right, like the library, we were talking about, you know.
Yeah.
What has the city saved having such
That's
a
right. That's
great
right.
energy efficiency?
I think when they first opened it, they had all kinds of stats the first year maybe about how much less water they used, how much less electricity. And I think that's kind of gone by the wayside because it was like a LEED certified building and everything. But I think it's important to keep citizens aware of this and what's possible. And now it's even more possible because that was built long ago.
Mhm.
Is it like a reporter for the Portsmouth Herald? or something?
Is there any reporter for the
That-
Portsmouth Herald?
that writes about this stuff that, you know,
I wish there was.
could,
Yeah, I wish there
There
was.
was a sustainability, was it, what's her name, Barn Dollar? Or-
Oh, yeah, Hadley.
Hadley, yeah.
New Hampshire Bulletin is where all of that has gone now.
Yeah, Hadley's.
And New
Oh,
Hampshire
yeah.
Public Radio does things like that too.
Yeah.
I think Maura Hoppus, Lemazian or something like that.
But we had an interesting Zoom call with the energy manager, well, energy and facilities manager from Lebanon. And he's racked up millions of dollars of savings with a consistent program over
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
So, part of our look at this could be to benchmark against some of the best in class
Yep. Yep.
municipalities who've really done this and see, we may be right on course. But there may be
Mhm.
more we can do. So. Okay. Other items?
we're going to have a meeting in July. When would it be?
Yes.
First Wednesday of the month, which would be,
That interfere with the holiday?
That would be what, July 9th?
It's the third.
The third would
Oh.
be, that won't work.
no,
That's
Yeah, the
And,
fireworks.
yeah, exactly.
Did you say it's
no.
third?
Should we do the 10th?
I won't be here, but
Yeah, we can't do July 3rd. That would not. Right. Or we could do, no. We can't do the week of the 4th. Yeah, it'd have to be the 10th, I think.
But
So-
the other thing is on the 11th, right?
What's that?
The community conversations is on the
Mhm.
11th.
It's on the 11th. Yep.
Mhm.
Back to back.
So I will check whether this room is available on the 10th.
Could you? That would be great. Let's tentatively say.
I'll rope you all in to the presentation on the 11th when we meet on the 10th, if I'm short on speakers, so be
Okay.
be warned.
People to facilitate
Yeah.
tables, I'm happy to do that.
Awesome.
So we'll put that date in the minutes. Anything else? Lots going on.
Mhm.
Thank you all for your continued good work and we've got a busy year ahead. So. Okay, motion to
Thank you.
adjourn? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Hi,
Bye.
Aye.
happy birthday.
happy
Oh,
birthday.
Thank you. There's more cake if anybody wants it. Otherwise, I'll take it home.
Good.